Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for being here and sharing in your county government. At this time, I'll call the Paulding County Board of Commissioners Board Meeting to order this June 23rd, 2020. And I don't see a marshal. There's a marshal. Okay, check that list for me, please. Silence your phones if you haven't already. Sir. And I've got a little kind of an Irish prayer tonight that I'm going to start us off as an invocation, and then we'll have our pledge. As we pray humbly tonight, we ask for God's strength to pilot us. We ask for God's might to uphold us, for God's wisdom to guide us, for God's eye to look before us, for God's ear to hear us, for God's word to speak for us, and God's hand to guard us. May God shield and protect us. And Heavenly Father, we just thank you for the ability to gather together in freedom, and we thank you for our law enforcement, our first responders, and all these department heads that work so hard to advance this county forward. May we just seek your wisdom in everything that we say and do. In Christ's name, amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under the minutes, action to adopt the June 4th, 2020 State of the County meeting minutes, the June 9th, 2020 work session and board meeting minutes, and the June 16th, 2020 called joint meeting minutes. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Stover. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Caker. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? It carries 5-0. There are no announcements, no invited guests, no bid awards. Under reports from committees and departments, there are none. Public participation on agenda items. We have several. So we'll go ahead with that before we get to the planning and zoning part. They're all about planning and zoning. So,
Mr. Chairman, if I can just, if I may review that.
please.
Just for clarification, we have, it appears, 5 people that have signed up to speak on agenda items. I just want clarification that if you've signed up here, you intend to speak tonight. Sometimes people see this and they just start filling out a form without any intention to speak. So the chairman's going to call them one by one, and if it's your intention to speak, please take the podium at that time.
Thank you. So we'll begin with Clay Bragdon, who's going to speak on the SUP for 2020-05. So, Mr. Brogdon, were you planning on speaking?
Yes.
Come forward to the microphone like you did this afternoon, please. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes of the chosen agenda item.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Clay Brogdon, and I made a presentation here today in front of the Planning Commission, and in order to just try to be a good steward of your time, I think I'll just reserve my time to address any opposition that may be here or to answer any questions that you guys may have of me, because the Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval to y'all. So I'll be happy to try to answer any questions that you might have.
Yes, Mr. Brogdon, just so we're clear, you have 5 minutes to address the council. There's not a reservation of time for purposes of this proceeding this evening. Okay. If the commissioners decide that they want to hear further from you, then they may recognize you to speak further. But at this time, you have 5 minutes if there's anything you want to present.
Okay. Then I think I will present. I'll take my 5 minutes. Again, good evening, Commissioners. My name is Clay Brogdon, and I'm the recently retired Manager of Site Acquisition for Southern Link. Southern Link has since engaged me as an independent consultant to represent them in all zoning and permitting matters of this type. Southern Link is a wholly owned subsidiary of Southern Company, and we are the wireless communications provider for Southern Company's 3 large electric utilities, including Georgia Power, Alabama Power, and Mississippi Power. In addition, we also provide wireless communications to numerous local, city, and state governmental agencies, other electric utility companies, and emergency management agencies as well. Some of our other customers include the Georgia State Patrol, the Georgia DOT, the Georgia Emergency Management Agency, and the Georgia Department of Natural Resources. These entities depend on Southern Link to provide reliable wireless communications, not only during their everyday activities, but especially after damaging storms, natural disasters, medical emergencies, and other critical and dangerous situations. Restoring power after storm damage is made much more efficient when using reliable wireless communications. We're here tonight with a proposal for a 290-foot tall communications tower out in the Yorkville area of Paulding County. Your ordinance has a height limit of 195 feet, so we need a height variance. You also have a setback requirement of height of the tower plus 100 feet. So we're asking for a setback variance as well. The setbacks that we are short, our landlord actually owns that adjacent property as well. So the setbacks we're short is to his property, and he's okay with it. So we're here tonight to ask for your final vote of approval of this project. And with that, I'll pause and just answer any questions that y'all might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Clay. Next is Ms. Julie Nunn to speak on application 2020-08-Z.
I spoke earlier today on behalf of my mother. She's not here tonight. She has trouble hearing. And I forgot, I know I only have 5 minutes because the other neighbors want to speak also, but my husband and I, when I went home, were thinking about one other thing that I forgot to speak about this morning, and that was our street. And my husband went up and measured it with his tape measure just to make sure that he was accurate. It's also 16 feet wide. And I was in the understanding this morning that our whole street would be paved when they put this subdivision in the middle of our street, which is less than a mile long, probably less than 3/4 of a mile long. We have school buses that come down, and now that we're going to have 19 more houses on our street, which I think we probably only have less than 10 houses now on our street, but there'll be 19 more. There'll be school buses on our road. We also have a 90-degree turn at the top of our street. 90 degrees. You can't pass on our street without pulling over on the edge of the road, which there's a sharp ditch on both sides. When the school bus comes, you definitely have to pull over. One of my neighbors was almost hit by our garbage truck because they can't, 2 cars, especially a bus, and it's very dangerous for our children, very dangerous with the school buses. And we honestly thought that the road would be paved from one end to the other since it wasn't a mile long. And one other thing, I love living in Paulding County. As I said this morning, and I can't remember which ones of you were here this morning, my husband and I both have lived here for 20 years. We love our neighborhood. The gentleman this morning said that we have fear of what's going to be coming into our neighborhood. We do not have fear. We know what's coming into our neighborhood. More traffic, more problems, crime. We know exactly what's coming in. As it is now, it's so quiet on our street, and we love it. And my husband says that I'm just wasting my time tonight. He told me I was wasting my time this morning, but I have to let you know that these ladies over here, they feel the same way. And the gentleman up the street, they're older people on our street. My mother lives there. If my mother's taxes, as I said this morning, if they go up any higher, she'll have to move. And she's not going to live with me because she is bound and determined not to live with any of her children. So I just wanted to say that, but the school buses now is my most important thing, and the garbage trucks on our street. Our road will definitely have to be paved, and if somebody could go out and look at the curve at the top, just to make it safer. I mean, we don't want anybody to get hurt. But I'm not angry. I'm seriously not angry about the subdivision coming in. It makes us sad. It makes it all sad. The gentleman that lost his property to this man said that he went over and cleaned up a lot of hoardings, what it looked like in a barn. That made us cry. This gentleman lost his property because he has a bad back, had back surgery. Well, none of us in the neighborhood knew that he was not keeping up with his taxes. I would have gladly paid his taxes, gladly. It hurt our feelings that he talked about him like that. So I've never seen anything out in his yard that was unsightly. We only have absolutely good neighbors in our neighborhood, and we love it. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Nunn. And also on 2020-08-Z is Mary Ann Osborne. Ms. Osborne.
Me and my husband didn't really think there was much reason to come because usually us small town people just don't, we can't fight this big money. But this property, me and my husband did come up here to the courthouse steps to try to get this property because on both sides, we own on both sides of Gamble Road, and that property they purchased backs up to my property on both sides of the road. So we wanted to get it for our children, just to at least have them move a house each, my two daughters on there, but of course we didn't bring the money. So we moved there because it was a quiet little road. It's a lovely little road, and we all have property. Everybody on there has property. It's not little bitty, it's property. And I keep my grandson, and if there's more of traffic from all these houses they're going to bring, because whoever purchased it, I don't know if they're still the ones that have it now, but he told us that he was going to do 5-acre tracts. That's not what's happening, is it? So I don't know if somebody else purchased it and they've made the tracts smaller. That means smaller homes. That means rental homes. We all know what that means. I don't want that on my small little road. I don't want that backed up to both sides of my property. I'm stuck. I'm the one that's stuck. These other people are too. These ladies that's been there their whole life. They've been there longer than me. Me and my husband, we've loved being there the years we've been there. But they've been there longer. They've lived their lives there. And this is just sad that they're trying to do this to our little road. And when I say little road, I'm the one that almost got run off by a garbage truck because there's no room. You have to stop and you have to pull over and stop if there's another vehicle coming towards you. I don't care where on that road you are. So I just found out from them that they said they're only going to widen it right at the subdivision. That's ridiculous. What about the rest of the road that all these cars and trucks and stuff and school buses are going to be trying to pass each other? Also, we only all have, or I do, and I think a majority on that road have wells. What does that bring? What are they doing for that subdivision? So that's pretty much what I've got to say. I do love my little road. We all do, because it's just us on our big acreage, and then we're going to bring all this in there that's not even a mile long. If y'all just think on that for us, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Osborne. Also on application 2020-08-Z is Amy and Nancy Bell.
Commissioners, thank you for giving us the time to speak. Like we've said before, we aren't fear of change. In fact, we came from the big city to move out to the country because we like the quiet life. We enjoy not having our neighbors right on top of us, to be honest with you. We hope that you really think about and consider what this will bring to our neighborhood. It's just, and again, we're not fearful of change. We just want it to be peaceful and quiet. And like we've all stated before, if you're only going to widen the road right there by the neighborhood, well, the entrance isn't coming right there by the neighborhood. You have to enter on either 101 or Hogue Road. So just please consider that before you make your decision.
Yes, there are 9 houses on our street now. Sorry. We had 2 guys in pickup trucks. They tried real hard to get past each other, but because of the way the road tilts, and I fear this every time I see somebody coming, I fear my vehicle turning over, end up on its side or on top, because there is no shoulder and the road is not wide. They ended up taking each other's mirrors off, and they were very careful trying to get by each other, but because their trucks are so big, it was just almost impossible. I worry about property taxes. I talked about that some this morning. I have a covenant, and they said that wouldn't be affected. But my feeling is that going to be the case? I mean, I lost my husband 10 years ago, and I'm struggling to hang on. He loved that place. Sorry, didn't mean to do that.
He loved the neighborhood.
And, anyway, the subdivision, is it going to be held to 19 houses, or could they go, because my understanding is in Paulding County, you can build a house on a half acre. So if that's the case, they could get as many as 50 houses there. Is there going to be more than one street going into the subdivision, or are all the streets going to be on the road? I don't know that. But can the houses be smaller? The man who spoke said they're going to start at 1,600 square feet. Is that true? Or once he gets approval, he's going to put in low-cost housing and put 50 houses in there on a road that's not big enough for 2 cars to go across each other? If you're going to make the entrance nice for the little subdivision, what about the rest of us who've been there for 20 or more years? We moved out here when, we bought our property, actually, in '82 because of finances. My husband was in the service. It took us a while to save money, so we couldn't build right away. So it took us a long time to build. And it's just sad to think that you're going to fancy up this little road right by the subdivision when we're not sure. They say there's going to be just 19 homes. We're already dealing with right across from my house, somebody supposedly putting in 8 houses. They've already put in 1 double-wide trailer, and they're right across from my road. So now I'm dealing with not only this 19 homes, and first of all I had to deal with this supposedly 6 or 8 homes that are going what used to be a pond, and now we have this 19, or if they change their mind once they get approval to build it, is it going to be 50 houses on half-acre lots? And they're going to be low-income housing? What's this going to do to my property value? Anyway, anyway, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get emotional, but anyway, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Amy and Nancy. And I'm going to ask Chris Robinson if he'll comment on the question that you posed regarding more density, greater density, more houses.
Good evening. Regarding the R2 district that they're asking to rezone to, it's a maximum density of 2 units per acre. His proposal is 19 units maximum, 19 lots maximum. Under the zoning ordinance, any significant changes will have to be reviewed by the community development director, and if there's a significant change, the director can make that application come back through the public hearing procedure back before the Board of Commissioners.
Thank you, Chris. So before they could do that, it would have to come back. That's too drastic a change, I'm sure. Finally, also speaking on application 2020-08-C is Mr. Jeff Matthews. Jeff?
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jeff Matthews. I represent Longview Capital. And first, I'd like to apologize. Ms. Nunn brought me up a little to speed, and I would like to apologize for my characterization earlier of that being a hoarder house. It was full of stuff, and the barn was, excuse me, but I did not know the people's history and that they had had medical issues prior to that. But for characterizing it as a hoarder house, I do apologize. But in continuing in that, as far as the road, we would be giving the 60 feet of right-of-way to the Paulding DOT so that and we can't control what the other neighbors did if they should choose to maybe get together and get someone to look at the road about opening it up or giving additional right-of-way so that it could be improved all the way up and down through there. That would be probably a good thing for the community. There is a 90-degree turn up at the north end of that little road, and that's why we anticipate directing traffic back out to Hogue Road, which does have a Georgia DOT decel lane as you head north, that you would turn in, go by McClendon Meadows subdivision, turn left on Gamble, and then right into the subdivision. That is a choke point up there where Gamble Road comes back into 101. We would stipulate to the 19 houses. That's something, as Mr. Robinson pointed out, would have to come back in as a plan amendment if we were going to do different than that. And because half-acre lots are really not achievable under the new current soils requirements in the county, it's pretty tough to make that happen. And I'd just like to say that, again, I apologize for the hoarder house comment. I guess I've watched it on TV. They were ardent collectors maybe, but we are surrounded by R2 property. All four sides of us is surrounded by R2 zone property, and we would just ask that ours be zoned commensurately. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Matthews. That completes the public participation on agenda items.
I apologize, but would there be any time for me to please address the board? I was here in time, but I was completely unaware of the process and sign up. And again, I apologize to be disruptive, I don't mean to be, but would there be any amount of time at all to address the board on the case 2020-08-C?
I entertain a motion to, what's your name, sir?
Ryan Black.
Mr. Black. Entertain a motion to allow Mr. Black to speak, although he's not on the list.
I'll make a motion, we allow him to speak.
A second.
A motion by Commissioner Davis, second by Commissioner Hart. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
You have the floor, Mr. Black.
I appreciate it very, very much, very much. Obviously, I'm not the only one here with concerns today. I wrote down a few
I'm sorry,
points.
sir, could you hold on? Could you let us know, are you talking about that same item?
Yes, sir. 2020-08-C.
Okay, thank
On
you.
Gamble, yes, sir. Yes, sir. These are not just sentimental points I come to bring to the board today. These are actual, real concerns about the development of the road and the area. For one, the widening of the road, of Gamble Road, right now as it stands, off the road, the current road, our house is maybe 28 feet. We measured it and we came up to about 28 feet. After the extension of the road, after the right-of-way, we're maybe 10 feet, 5 feet, somewhere in there from the right-of-way of the DOT, of the state. I might be a little off on, I believe it was mentioned it was a 30-foot right-of-way from the center of the road. I might be a little off, but regardless, that'll push the road and the right-of-way right in our front door. I have a bedroom on that corner of my house, which will be literally on the corner of that road, right beside it. On top of that, widen the road will obviously increase the traffic. We've had an increase in the traffic the last few years with the houses being built around us. There's a neighborhood already being built on 101 up towards 278 with 150 houses being built in it. The traffic's going to increase on 101. That's regardless to this. That's different. But the widening of the road is going to increase traffic, and that brings a big concern for me, my dad, who's nearly 60 years old, my cousin who lives with us who's 65. There's going to be a lot more traffic in front of my house, and I would assume it'd be likely for a turning lane to be put right in our front door. We live right on the corner of Gamble and 101, and a turning lane put in front of our house to get onto Gamble, on top of the road being extended to cut off our front yard, that would cover us up. That would completely take nearly all of our land. On top of that, just besides the fact of us being uncomfortable, our plumbing field lines run all the way maybe 10 feet from the road. Extending that road, extending that right of way, we're going to have our public system, plumbing system redesigned, rediverted. I would assume that would be cost for the county. On top of that, the Callahans behind us, same exact situation. Their field lines run all the way to the edge of their land, right to the road. So when you extended that road, you're not going to build on top of their plumbing system. You're going to have to, I assume, pay to have that diverted, to be moved. Along with that, I believe I was told there would be a fire line put down the road, a water line for fire hydrants to be put down the road. That would just be even more space to cut into people's yards, cut on top of our plumbing systems, and that would be more cost to have our yards dug up and have our whole plumbing systems diverted and moved. More concern, right behind us, there was, I believe, 7 acres right behind my house that was just been bought to be developed and more houses put on, besides this piece of property. This is right behind our house. The builder, the developer, whoever, the lots that he put on that land are already pushed back as far as they can possibly go, with the right-of-ways included. And they're pushed all the way back to a creek. If the road is extended and the right-of-way is extended, those properties are going to be pushed onto that creek, possibly into our yard. We extend all the way to the creek, and they extend back to the creek. How are they going to extend the right-of-way and push those properties so far back? Because I believe it's my understanding they have to have so many feet from the right-of-way, and when the right-of-way is extended, they'll have to be extended as well. Those are the biggest concerns, I would say. On top of that, I apologize. This morning, we were told that things might change as far as having animals, having chickens, all kind. Everybody on this road owns chickens or a goat or something like that. We were told that this morning, if things were changed, that you would have to have 5 acres to be able to own any kind of animals like that in your yard. My father's on disability. He isn't able to work. He sells his chickens. He sells his animals. That's part of his livelihood. That's money, income in our house that we won't be able to get back because of, I assume, stipulations telling us that we can't own these animals anymore or anything like that. Those are biggest concerns. On top of that, besides our personal effects, there's a piece of public land, public hunting land, adjoining the property right beside it on the side of it. It's the number 2 turkey hunting public land. Obviously, these aren't interests for everybody. It's a number 2 piece of property in the state for public land. Putting this property on there, developing this land, completely ruin it. There have been more people on this land in the last couple of years than I've ever seen. I've hunted my whole life. I've lived on the road my whole life. If this land was developed, if this neighborhood's put in, it's ruined. Thank you. Thank y'all. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you, Mr. Black. Appreciate everyone participating tonight on that and giving us your input. All right, next on the agenda is the consent agenda, which is action to approve 2 consent agenda items. I read them this morning, so I'll just entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Caker. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries 5-0. Under old business, we have none. Under new business, number 4 is action to adopt ordinance 20-07, amendments to the alcohol ordinance regarding permits for nonprofit organizations. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
There's a motion to approve by Commissioner Stover. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Davis. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And number 5 is action to adopt Resolution 20-18, Georgia Environmental Finance Authority Loan Agreement Modifications, and authorize the chairman to execute all other documents related to loan number WS12L07WS.
Motion to approve.
There's a motion to approve by Commissioner Hart. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Stover. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. And any opposed? Carries 5-0. Number 6 is action to adopt Resolution 20-19, Georgia Environmental Finance Authority Loan Agreement Modifications, and authorize the chairman to execute all other documents related to loan number CW09093. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
There's a motion to approve by Commissioner Caker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Davis. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Number 7 is action to approve the repair of one Cummins backup power generator for the copper mine WRF as described on quotation number 132713 in the amount of $82,457.15. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Hart. Is there a second?
A second.
Second by Commissioner Stover. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Carries 5-0. Number 8 is action to approve terms of the continuing engagement with the law firm of Bentley, and Bentley, not to exceed $75,000 for assistance and legal advice regarding updates to the Paulding County Code of Ordinances, the Paulding County Zoning Ordinance, and the Paulding County Development Regulations, and also assistance with economic development strategies. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Stover. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Caker. Is there any discussion?
Just to say, I'm really excited to see this come hopefully to an end with this. It should have happened a long time ago. So.
Yes, sir. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Carries 5-0. Number 9 is action to enter into a memorandum of agreement with the Paulding County Economic Development, Inc., and authorize the chairman to execute all necessary documents.
Make a motion to approve.
A motion to approve by Commissioner Stover. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hart. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Also carries 5-0. Number 10 is action to approve the development agreement with Abney Austin Investments, LP, Pine Hill Investments, LTD, and authorize the chairman to execute all necessary documents. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Hart. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Stover. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries 5-0. Number 11 is action to adopt Resolution 20-20 authorizing the conveyance of .15 acres of land to the Board of Regents of the University System of Georgia. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Caker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hart. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Also carries 5-0. Number 12 is action to adopt Resolution 20-21 confirming executive session for the purposes of pending and potential litigation. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Caker. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Carries 5-0. Moving to the Planning and Zoning Commission and the Planning Commission's recommendations. of June 23rd, 2020. First is application by Elite Engineering and Jonathan Jones for rezoning stipulation amendment of the prior rezoning of 2006-58Z, stipulation 23, to be removed in its entirety. The property is zoned PRD, Planned Residential Development District, and is approximately 34.108 acres in size. The property is located in land lots 1033 and 1056, District 3, Section 3, on the north side of Colbert Road, east of Ivy Gulledge Road, in Post 4. The Planning Commission recommended approval, no stipulations, and the vote was 4, 0, and 1. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Stover. Is there a second? I'll make a second. And is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. And any opposed? Carries 5-0. 2020-07Z is application by Terry Dobbins to rezone approximately 1.58 acres from A1 Agriculture to R2 Suburban Residential for the purpose of constructing a single-family residence. The property is located in land lot 298, District 1, Section 3, on the north side of Browning Road, located in Post 2. And do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Caker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Davis. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries 5-0. 2020-08Z is application by Longview Capital LLC to rezone 25.5 acres from A1 Agricultural to R2 Suburban Residential for the purpose of constructing up to 19 single-family homes. The property is located in land lot 757, District 19, Section 3, at 367 Gamble Road in Post 2. The Planning Commission recommended approval with a vote of 4, 0, and 1 with 4 stipulations. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
A motion to approve by Commissioner Caker. Is there a second?
A second.
A second by Commissioner Stover. Is there any discussion?
I have a question, Dave, for legal counsel. Jason, could you clarify, it's my understanding, but maybe you can just verify that anyone who's there now or who will come, who is to have animals of any sort, other than like a pet dog, like chickens or goat or whatever, are now currently subject to the county ordinances related to those things and would continue to be subject to the county ordinance relating to those things, and that would not change based on the outcome of this vote.
I believe that's a correct statement. Listening to the comments from the public, it appeared to me that there was concern for those homeowners whose property will remain agriculturally zoned, that somehow the rezoning of this property to R2 would negatively impact their ability to continue to raise or harbor animals in an agricultural zoning district, and there would not be a change to that.
So just again to state it, the rezoning of this and the stipulations associated with it are for the property in question and not for any of the neighboring properties, even on the same road that would be in the same quote-unquote neighborhood.
Correct.
Okay, and then, thank you, Jason. And then if I could, Dave, I'd like to ask George if he could comment on the width of the road and potentially the how it gets widened, or safety in the 90-degree turn, and the transportation issues that were brought up by the folks who spoke.
Yes, Commissioner Davis. I did some research after the zoning meeting this afternoon and looked at various properties along there, Gamble Road. There's right-of-way in some areas, 30 feet dedicated, few areas 40, some prescriptive right-of-way, no documentation. So that was probably, I haven't talked to Scott Green, who was the DOT director at the time when Gamble was resurfaced and paved out there, but that was probably the reason why it wasn't paved wider, was due to the lack of available right-of-way in that area. So typically what we do, situations like this where folks complain about the road width, would like the road wider, you know, we work with people to see if they will donate right-of-way for that. And then, you know, providing we get enough people who want to do that, you can resurface a wider roadway through there. But again, it takes concerted effort on everybody's part. You just can't do piecemeal.
Right.
So, and again, the 90-degree curve, you know, that's something we can look at. Obviously, when it comes to curvature, it's not just a little bit of area you need. If you're going to improve a curve to make a speed design for Gamble Road, which is posted for 25 miles per hour, you would need a certain amount of property to accommodate that. But again, that's something we can look at and determine what a safe curve area would need to be.
So, where at on Gamble was a prescriptive right away?
I don't know, remember the exact location, but I just pulled up some deeds from the clerk of court and just noticed that there was no actual plat showing a deeded right of way.
Answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to withdraw and add a stipulation if I could, please.
Okay, so we're going to withdraw the motion in the second,
Yes.
and you want to make a motion to amend?
Leave it with the motion withdrawn, there'd be on the floor for a new motion.
I would like to make a motion to approve with an added stipulation of the limiting of 19 homes to that property.
Okay, we have a motion to absolutely limit the number as suggested this afternoon and tonight to 19 homes. Is there a second? I'll second that motion. Is there any discussion on that?
Just to clarify, Mr. Chairman, I believe the applicant was agreeable to that.
Okay, we have agreement from Mr. Matthews, and we have to approve that and then go back to approving the whole thing?
No, because the motion was originally withdrawn, there was no motion on the floor. The current motion is to approve with the 4 steps plus the additional step, and there's been a second, so we're in the discussion period. Once discussion is over, there'd be time for a vote.
Jason, when she was talking, they were talking about the A1 zoning. That's not going to be able to increase her property values or her property values, her property taxes. Correct?
That is a question for the assessors.
Gotcha. Yeah.
That is-
would be the only way, though,
Yes.
if the value went up.
Yeah, if the value, if the value of surrounding properties goes up, there may be an increase in value. If the value of the property goes down, there might be a decrease. It's all within the realm of the assessors, which is outside my area of expertise.
I'd like to say, if I could, Dave, just to speak to the folks who live in the neighborhood and the gentleman who also lives in the neighborhood and these ladies that came. And I just want to tell you thank you for coming. The comment was made that you were afraid you might be wasting your time. I would argue that when you come to speak your mind in concern of the community in which you live, you're not wasting your time. If the vote goes the way you don't hope the vote goes, it's not a waste of time. Property rights are one of those things that I hold very dear. And I know the rest of them do. I'm not saying they don't, but I'll speak for myself. And I know it's not easy to get behind that microphone, and it's not easy to come because you get emotional and you feel very strongly about things, and I get that. And I just want you all to know that I do appreciate you coming up here and getting behind the microphone and speaking your mind and echoing your concerns. I'd also like to tell you that this man right here, the fine-looking man in the gray suit and the gray beard, sorry, George, is George Jones. He's our DOT director. Where it comes to issues with that road and the potential of getting it wider so it's safer for any school buses or even just passing traffic, if you all will speak to George at the end of this meeting, he'll give you his contact information. And if you want to pursue, and as he said, it would take an effort of everyone on the road essentially to pursue getting it made a little wider so that traffic can pass more safely. George will help do that. He's done that for a neighborhood in my district off of 92. We did that, and it was a great project, and everybody in the neighborhood got on board, and it's wonderful now. So we can try to help alleviate those issues. I guess there are some right-of-way concerns that I don't know what those are, but George will have to address that. So if you all will speak with George, he'll be happy to give you his contact information, and you guys can start working on some possibilities, potentially as it leads up to the paving where these new houses go in. You could potentially, I don't know the timing on the paving projects. Again, that's a George thing, but George will be able to help you. And thank you for coming up here and speaking with us tonight.
Hey, George.
There was just one question that I had asked, and I think one of us had asked that we didn't get answered, and it was the water. Like, we're mostly on well, and where that's at, definitely there's no water down there. So what are they gonna be bringing down those big pipes? That's our concerns is all of that.
Lori, you can address that if you'd like. We don't mind answering your questions or staying after as long as you want to stay. Go ahead.
It would be an 8-inch water line extended and from the existing water line to the farthest extent of the property being developed. And we try and stay in the back area of the right-of-way. So we'll be coordinating with Mr. Jones on the amount of right-of-way that is there. And then there would be fire hydrants placed along that line. So water service would then be made available to anyone along that run of the road.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lori.
Hey, George, as far as the prescriptive right-of-way, there was one section, or was it in that sharp curve, or?
I don't believe it was near Commissioner Stover. I was just pulling, just random, properties and just looking through it. And there was just one that popped up that I was not able to locate any deeded right of way for.
Because
It was closer to the southern end than the northern.
So would be back toward Hogue Road. Is that right?
Yes.
Correct. Just know we gotta be careful. I know we're working through an issue right now on another road with prescriptive right of way, so just make sure we look at it while we don't,
Folks, the only comment I would make, I've lived in Paulding County now for over 40 years, and there's no greater investment than your home. There's no place, in my view, that's more enjoyable than being at your home. I used to walk around the north part of the county where there's now 1,600 subdivisions, and my bird dog and I were the only ones out there in those days. That change happens, and sometimes it hurts. But I think what you've got coming out there is going to be quality, and it's not going to be 8,000 square foot lots, 300 of them. It's going to be larger lots where you still have a lot of landscaping and beautiful yards and homes with natural buffers. So however this vote goes, I just want you to know, I know everybody on this panel up here, and they all value their homes, and love their homes like you all do, and I just kind of ditto what Ron said as far as appreciating your being here and going up to that microphone and speaking your mind. Any other comments?
I would like to say too, thank you guys for coming, and a lot of people don't come in and express what they feel, and a lot of times we don't know until it's already happened. On that piece of property, there is no telling. You've got a quality piece of work going in there. Otherwise, I wouldn't have approved it or voted to approve it. You just don't know what they could put in there. And he's doing the right thing. You've got 19 homes. Like you said, you could have 50, but you've only got 19. And God bless you all. My heart goes out to all of you.
Other comments? Thanks, Sandy. It's time to vote. With the amendment, and at this time I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Carries 5-0. 2020-05, special purpose application by Southern Link, H. Buddy Robinson, for a special use permit to construct a 290-foot telecommunications tower on an 11.19 acre property within the R2 Suburban Residential District. The property is located in land lots 293 and 294, District 19, Section 3. The property is located on the west side of Highway 101 North, across from Golden South Parkway in Post 2.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve on this recommendation by the panel of 4, 0, and 1. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Caker. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries 5-0. 2020-09-Z is application by Fleming and Associates Incorporated to rezone 4.411 acres from A1 agricultural to R2 suburban residential for the purpose of constructing 2 single-family homes. The property is located in land lot 1289, District 2, Section 3, on the north side of Nebo Road, across from Stone Creek Drive, located in Post 3. Recommendation by the Planning Commission was to approve with a vote of 4, 0, and 1, with one stipulation. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve, one stipulation.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Hart. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Stover. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Carries 5-0. That's the conclusion of regular business. No executive session required this evening. No one has signed up for non-agenda items. Would any of the post commissioners like to have a closing remark? We won't even start with you, Commissioner Davis. We'll look down this way.
I'm fine. I'm good.
You go last, you fuss about it. You go first, you got nothing to say.
I'm not a big talker anyway.
Man of action. Got anything?
Not really, but the June 25th job fair, sheriff's office. Bring us some sheriff's officers, 10 to 2.
That's a good announcement. Good? Everybody good?
I'm good.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'm making a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned by Commissioner Davis, or a second? Second by Commissioner Caker. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We stand adjourned.